Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri just returned a few hours ago from a visit to Hong Kong. Last night, he tweeted this about LeBron James, quote, having just been in Hong Kong on the streets and with the protesters, this kind of garbage is hard to take. LeBron, are you educated on the situation? Why don't you go to Hong Kong? Why don't you meet the people there risking their lives for their most basic liberties? So many people could have been harmed by Daryl Morey daring to express sympathy for democracy? Newsflash. People are being harmed, shot, beaten, gassed right now in Hong Kong by China, by the Communist Party the NBA is so eager to appease, end quote. Senator Josh Hawley joins us in studio, amazingly, tonight. Senator, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
For coming on right after you get off the plane. You went to Hong Kong. What did you see there? How did it change your view?
You know, I went and I saw the protests themselves, Tucker. I said, I don't want to be cooped up in some hotel. I want to go out to the streets. So we spent hours on the streets in what would have been Sunday night Hong Kong time in what turned out to be the biggest area of protest that night. And so I saw the police. I saw them out in force with their riot gear, establishing perimeters. I saw the protesters. You know, it's really remarkable, the number of protesters, Tucker. I mean, think about this. For one of their early protests, this is a city of 7.5 million people, 2 million people in the streets. This is a protest movement that spans class divides. It spans all the people of Hong Kong are united here in standing up to communist China, standing up to Beijing, and they're just desperate to preserve their basic liberties.
But they are standing up against one of the most powerful governments in the world and an authoritarian government. I wonder what they make of some of the richest people in our country taking the side of the Chinese government.
Oh, they talked to me about this because I then met with protest leaders. So I was out with them, and then I met with protest leaders and members of the movement, and they just don't understand it. They say, you know, I mean, China is trying to censor the NBA, trying to impose their coercive tactics through the NBA. They're trying to coerce Americans through the NBA and through Apple, frankly. And they said, listen, this is just, you can expect more of the same. This is how Beijing operates. They use their commercial advantage to coerce, to tighten the screws, and they're amazed that the NBA is going along with it. As am I. I'm amazed and I'm sickened by it.
It's not just the NBA, as you know, and as you pointed this out repeatedly. It's a whole layer of American multinationals and executives, and actors and professional athletes. How did we get here?
Well, I mean, we got here by these companies, these multinational companies, caring more about making a buck and being willing to sell out. I mean, you know, their basic value, our basic values as Americans. I mean, they would rather appease the Chinese Communist Party to get access to China's market than they would to stand up for basic liberties. I mean, this shouldn't be controversial.
Right.
We're not talking about controversial stuff here. I mean, to hear LeBron and others say, well, this is, you know, controversial socially. This isn't controversial.
That's exactly right.
We're talking about basic freedom of speech, basic freedom of assembly. This is something that all Americans agree on, and that all free people everywhere agree on. And guess what? The people of Hong Kong have been guaranteed these rights by Beijing. I mean, that's part of the deal here. It's Beijing. Exactly. It's Beijing who's trying to take them away now.
So you serve in the United States Senate. You have a tactile sense of people's views there. What do you think the breakdown is in the Senate?
Well, I think most people don't understand how urgent the situation is in Hong Kong. They don't realize that Beijing is escalating. You know, what Beijing is doing is progressively taking away. Now they're basically using martial law. The chief executive there, who's a Beijing puppet, has just invoked emergency powers, which allows her to suspend right to protest, allows her to say what you can and cannot wear on the streets. There's talk of imposing a curfew. All of this without any legislative oversight. They're becoming a police state, Tucker. It's happening right now, and they need this country and the international community to stand up and say, hold on, we're not going to roll over for this.
Do you think your colleagues in the Senate understand this?
I think probably most don't. I don't think I understood the urgency of the situation. So this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be talking to my colleagues. I'm going to be saying, listen, the situation is pressing. And by the way, if we don't take a stand here, if China is able to dominate Hong Kong, they'll dominate Taiwan, they'll dominate the region, they'll dominate us. Let's not lose sight of the fact they've already ripped off our jobs. They've already ripped off our technology. If they could shut us out of Asia, they would absolutely do it, and that's their goal.